Hello and welcome to my reading and illustrating of Cove, a creepypasta by Chris Strub. It's one of the most famous creepypastas ever, and it takes place on a forum, so keep that in mind when I'm telling the story. I will try to make it obvious who's talking and when, but I'm not just gonna keep reading their usernames, so yep, please keep that in mind. Thank you for watching, and most specifically, thank you for understanding. Forum, television, local. Does anyone remember this kids show? It was called Cove, and I must have been 6 or 7. I never found reference to it anywhere, so I think it was on a local station around 1971 or 72. I lived in Ireton at the time. I don't remember which station, but I do remember it was on at a weird time, 4 p.m. or something. It seems really familiar to me. I grew up outside of Ashland when I was 9 years old in 72. Cove, was it about pirates? I remember a pirate marionette at the mouth of the cave talking to a little girl. Yes, okay, I'm not crazy. I remember Pirate Percy. I always thought he was kind of scary. He looked like he was built from parts of other dolls, real low budget. His head was an old porcelain baby doll. He looked like an antique that didn't really belong on his body. I don't remember what station it was. I don't think it was WTSF though. Sorry to resurrect this old thread, but I know exactly what show you mean, Skyshale. I think Cove ran for only a couple of months in 71 and 72. I was 12 and I watched it a few times with my brother. It was channel 58, whatever station that was. My mom would let me switch to it after the news. Let me see what I can remember. It took place in Cove. It was about a little girl who imagined herself to be friends with pirates. The pirate ship was called the Laughingstock. The pirate Percy wasn't a very good pirate because he got scared too easily, and there was a Calliope music constantly playing. Don't remember the girl's name, Janice or Jade or something. I think it was Janice. Thank you, Jaren. Memories flooded back when you mentioned the Laughingstock in channel 58. I remember the bow of the ship was a wooden smiling face with a lower jaw submerged. It looked like it was swallowing the sea, and it had an awful Ed Wynn voice and laugh. I especially remember how jarring it was when they would switch from the wooden plastic model to the foam puppet version of the head that talked. Ha ha ha, I remember now too. Do you remember this part, Skyshale? You have to go inside. Ugh, Mike, I got a chill reading that. Yes, I remember. That's what the ship always told Percy when there was a spooky place he had to go in, like a cave or a dark room where the treasure was, and the camera would push on Laughingstock's face with each pause. You have to go inside. With his 2 eyes askew and that flopping foam jaw was the fishing line that opened its mouth. Ugh. It just looked so cheap and awful. You guys remember the villain? He had a face that was just a handlebar mustache above a really tall, narrow teeth. I honestly thought the villain was Pirate Percy. I was about 5 when the show was on. Nightmare fuel. That wasn't the villain. The puppet with the mustache, that was the villain's sidekick, Horace the Horrible. He had a monocle too, but it was on the top of that mustache. I used to think that meant he only had one eye. But yeah, the villain was another marionette. The Skin Taker. I can't believe what they let us watch back then. Jesus H. Christ, the Skin Taker? What kind of kids show were you watching? I seriously could not look at the screen when the Skin Taker showed up. He just descended out of nowhere on strings, just a dirty skeleton wearing that brown top hat and cape, and his glass eyes that were too big for his skull. Christ almighty. Wasn't his top hat and cloak all sewn up crazily? Was that supposed to be children's skin? Yeah, I think so. Remember his mouth didn't open and close, his jaw just slid back and forth? I remember the little girl said, "Why does your mouth move like that?" And the Skin Taker didn't look at the girl but the camera and said, "To grind your skin." I'm so relieved that other people remember this terrible show. I used to have this awful memory, a bad dream I had where the opening jingle ended, the show faded in from black and just screaming. And the puppets and marionettes were flailing, and it was all just screaming and screaming. The girl was just moaning and crying like she had been through this for hours. I woke up many times from that nightmare. I used to wet the bed when I had it. I don't think that was a dream. I remember that. I remember that was an episode. No, not possible. There was no plot or anything. I mean, literally just standing in place, crying and screaming for the whole show. Maybe I'm manufacturing the memory because you said that, but I swear to God, I remember seeing that. Seeing what you described. They just screamed. Oh God, yes, the little girl Janice. I remember seeing her shake and the skin taker screaming through his gnashing teeth, his jaw crooning so wildly I thought it was going to come off its wire hinges. I turned it off and it was the last time I watched. I ran to tell my brother. We didn't have the courage to turn it back on. I visited my mom today at the nursing home. I asked her about when I was little, in the early 70s, when I was 8 or 9, and if she remembered a kids show, Candle Cove. She said she was surprised I could remember that, and I asked why, and she said, because I used to think it was so strange that you said, I'm gonna go watch Candle Cove now, Mom, and then you would tune the TV to static, so just watch dead air for 30 minutes. You had a big imagination with your little pirate show. Thank you for watching my reading and illustration of Candle Cove. I'm sorry if there was like any weird points in recording where I didn't say a word correctly. I think the story is written with purposeful like typos and stuff so that it seems more realistic because, you know, it's meant to look like a forum. So sometimes while I was reading it, it was like I couldn't really tell what the word was, so I kept stuttering and stuff. Sorry about that. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you have a happy fall.